Go ahead, start that, and you have to approve
Oh,
it
that's
now.
right. I have to consent.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I've now consented.
Okay.
Given
All
my
right. So
consent.
what do you think of Knights in White Satin?
Well, so we determined last week, and we've been working on that. It's an E minor,
Mm-hmm.
and so taking the chords from G, it's a relative minor, as I recall.
Oh, I realized I just gave you a wrong piece of information last week too.
Oh yeah.
There are two chords not in the key, not
Oh,
just one.
then I'm even more than okay. Well, here was a
Let's hear what you got.
so I'm working through this thing, and first thing was just a question. Um, so
Wait, that's another Moody Blues song. We're not talking about that one.
yeah, oh, that's right. Question. That's right.
That one has too fast a strumming in it. We don't want to go there.
Okay,
It's like
the
Pinball Wizard.
E minor. So if E is home, and do we literally renumber, which is what I did, renumber everything from E minor?
Yeah.
So we're now working with uh, G, what, three, six, and seven are the majors, and everything else is minor or diminished
Yeah, and where's the diminished chord?
on two.
Good. Okay, yeah. So that's
Okay,
that's that's
and
the layout.
that was a question. It remains a diminished chord on two.
Yeah, because the key signatures are the same. We still have the same set of seven notes.
Right.
So the chord that starts on in this case, the second note of the scale. I'm not sure if we went through a lot of this math before, but let me give a quick rundown. In order for a chord to be diminished, you have to have two minor thirds. It has to be a step and a half from one to three, and a step and a half from three to five.
Right.
Right? And in a major scale, let's get back to step. Well, in a major scale, let's talk about chord three, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The three notes that make up chord, and don't forget, we have half steps at three and four, and
Mm-hmm.
seven and eight.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way we have a step and a half between two notes that are a third apart is if they cross either three and four or seven and eight. Okay. And so if I'm talking about, and I just randomly picked chord three for no particular reason, but that means the three notes in chord three, as far as the scale is concerned, are three, five, and seven. Well, three to five in a major scale is always going to be a half step. I mean, a step and a half,
Mm-hmm.
because it's got the three to four half step in there.
Right.
Five to seven will always be two steps because it doesn't have a half step in there.
Right.
Because the half steps at seven,
That's seven.
right?
Okay.
Well, we go to chord four, and we just left the three to four half step behind,
Mm-hmm.
but we just brought the seven to eight half step in to
Mm-hmm.
the. Okay, good. So you're following all that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So when we get to chord seven, now I'm still in the major key. When we get to chord seven,
Yeah.
we have seven, two, and
Right.
four.
Right.
Seven to two is a step and a half,
Right.
and two to four is a step and a half.
Right.
So that's the only place you can start in the scale that when you make a triad, that'll bring in both half steps.
Okay.
So the same thing's true now. Now we switch to the minor key. It's the same. That's what happens on step two now.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
And if we
Right.
did the math and say, okay, well, in a minor scale, the half steps are two and three and five and six.
Right.
So when
Right.
I start on two, I get both half steps.
Yeah.
So that's where the diminished chord falls there, and
Okay.
um, it's interesting that you have the 3 6 7 memorized as majors, because what I usually recommend people do here is remember the similarity between the major key and the minor key, which is what 1 4 and 5 are.
Yeah.
So in
Okay.
the major key, 1 4 and 5 are major,
Right.
and in a minor key, 1 4 and 5 are minor.
Right.
And then once you've pinned down the diminished chord, then the rest of them are the opposite,
Okay.
which is where we get 3 6 and 7 kind of by the process of elimination in the major chords in the minor key.
Okay. And three, six, and seven made sense to me, just based on the fact that we notched two over.
Perfect. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So 1 became 3, that means 4 became 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just it's great however you can think about that. But it's always just it's easy to like step in a pothole sometimes when you're with all of that
Yeah. Oh,
stuff.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing about Knights in White Satin was, and I don't know if we talked about this at all because I can't remember if we were actually playing it. But it, in my mind, it seems to be in 3/4 time.
Okay.
Is it?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
well, is there another choice? In other words, if we're deciding is it 3 or 4,
Right.
then it's clearly 3. It's absolutely not 4.
Yeah.
Okay? But there's an argument to be made here that you play every chord for 2 measures.
So it's 6/8.
Well, the bottom number kind of doesn't matter here. We'll get back to that in a second. But I hear this song in 6, not in 3. I hear it as 2 sets of 3 that are linked, that are really together. They're really
Yeah.
one measure.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so if something was in 3, oh, this is going to be a bad example, but each group of 3 is equal in terms of measure to measure to measure.
Hmm.
So here's a fast 3. Here I stand, head in hand, turn my face to the wall. Okay, that was like 8 measures that I just played right there
Right.
of a fast 3. But all of those felt equal. Like it didn't feel like one of them, like the first one was stronger than the second one.
Right.
Now, and at the speed that that's going, I would say that's in 8. That we're counting eighth notes because it's going fast enough to where you really tap each group of 3. You don't tap all 3, right? You're tapping. I feel that as like 4 beats, 4 slow beats, but each one's subdivided into 3.
Yep. 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 Yep.
So I would put that in 12/8 time. I would say that's one measure of
Okay.
4 sets of 3. Okay? And the reason I would use an 8 in the bottom there is because it's going too fast for me to tap every beat. So that's what happens when there's an 8, when eighth notes become the beat. You usually don't count every eighth note, you count a group of eighth notes, and they're usually in 3s. So things that are fast 3s are usually either in 6/8, 9/8, or 12/8.
Okay.
And they feel 6/8 feels like 2 beats. A jig. Each of these is one measure.
Uh-huh.
But each of these was a fast 3 underneath them.
Right.
So that feels like 6/8 to me. 9/8. So that's what a jig is in Irish, or Celtic music, right? And there's a thing called a slip jig, by the way. The Rocky Road to Dublin. Slip jigs are in 9/8, which means they feel like 3, but it's 3 times 3. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Now back to Knights in White Satin. I feel like this. That second 3 is much weaker than the first 3. I don't hear this. Like that second group of 3 beats, you barely hit the down on that, what would be beat 1 of the second group of 3.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but it's going slow enough where it's easy to tap every beat.
Right.
So I would say that these are quarter notes now, not eighth notes.
Okay.
And so I would put this in 6/4 time.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but there is no hard and fast dividing line that if the beats are this fast, they're quarter notes, and if they're faster than that, they're eighth notes. So what are eighth notes in one song could be quarter notes in another song. So there would be nothing wrong with writing this in 6/8, and at the beginning you would still just put the tempo that you'd set your metronome at, which might be like 90, and you might say, okay, a quarter note is worth 90, meaning 90 per minute, 90 beats per minute. But if it's 6/8, you'd put that an eighth note is 90 per minute.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's some subjective, you know,
Yeah.
there are some not wrong answers that are not the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but would there be would there be intent that is expressed by deciding between those two choices, even though they're both at 90?
Um, yeah, like my the way I would decide that is, I do feel comfortable tapping all of the even though I'm tapping the one, two, these would be my groups of three, right? But it's not uncomfortable to to feel all of those, meaning that those feel like quarter notes to me,
Right.
because it's not uncomfortable tapping every one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, another song that is very similar, but this is a song I use all the time when I'm trying to explain when you might use 6/4. Nights in White Satin is like one of my go-to examples. The
Okay.
other is Lucky Man by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh yeah.
He had white horses and ladies by the score. So I feel that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5. So it feels like 6/4 also.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I saw just when you just tapped out a thing there.
Yeah, I just gave it away, huh?
Well, no, but I saw that I was going in someplace wrong there. So where I was going for two or for four here, starting out with one E minor on four, is I was going to A minor.
Oh, okay.
You weren't going to A minor.
No, but that does work. Now, when you figured it out in A minor, oh, we never did talk about the chords in A minor. You just had the melody figured out, I think, is right last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So have you played the melody in E minor?
Yeah, I think I have.
Let me hear it.
Okay. Okay.
Good. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Okay. So the first melody note was what note?
The first was B.
Right. And so that's the note that we're looking for, that we need a chord for. We need a chord that has B in it for that very first chord,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So the even if you didn't know whether this was even started with a minor chord or a major chord,
Right.
if we just say, you know what the 7 chords are, the 6 chords are that we're going to consider, right? And so we need a chord that has B in it.
Right.
So what are all the chords in this key that have B in them?
Well, when we're starting out, E minor does. Whoop.
Okay, and so what part of the chord is B in that case?
Okay, hang on one second here. My phone thing just did something.
I think I just heard a beep on my computer that you might have heard. But
Yeah, let me just get rid of that and click this. We're back.
okay.
Um, well, E minor here has a B in it.
Good. And what part of the chord is B?
Um, it's the fifth.
Good. Okay. So E minor is one of our choices, one of our chords that's got a B in it because B is the 5th of E.
Right.
Well, B could be another note of the chord and it wouldn't be an E minor chord. So like what else could B be? So basically we're looking for all the chords in the key that include the note B.
Right. Well, it could be the B's the third of G.
Okay, so that's like another choice.
Right.
So obviously a G chord has a B in it.
Yeah.
And what else would have B in it?
Um, B minor.
Sure. Okay. So that's kind of the path you want to take when you've figured out that this is the note that I have to harmonize. I got to find a chord for this
Okay.
note.
Okay.
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 Now,
Okay.
so in the case of this song, it's pretty easy. You know, we already knew that that first chord was going to be E minor because of
Yeah.
just some of the other things we talked about. You
Right.
know, and if you but now we have to now we can use the same approach to the what is the next note that we need a chord for. When you started playing that melody, where are we?
We go to A.
Yeah. Okay. And so let's do the same thing. What would the three chords in this key that include the note A be? Obviously, that's one of them.
A minor.
And that has A as the root, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
As the root. Um, C. No.
Why not?
No. There's no A and C. Um, okay. Let me think about this for just a second. Here, D.
Okay. D has it as what part of the chord? Oh, actually, wait. Let me back up. Okay. So when we were looking for the chords that included B, we happened to already have the chord that had B as the fifth.
Right.
So then we started looking for what would have it as the third, and you either subconsciously or consciously did figure out that you might have just randomly realized that a G chord has it too. But the
Right.
path is if B is the third, I got to find the root.
Okay.
So you work your way backwards two notes to see what would be one that would make B the third.
Okay.
And that's where you come up with G. G is two notes before B,
Right.
okay? And then um, anyway, so because
Okay.
we had
If I took the same approach then to that, so if A minor, and then if I back up two, in this case I'm at F sharp diminished.
right, okay, so the F sharp diminished chord does have an A in it.
Okay.
Okay, now
Yeah.
because of some of the other things I've told you, it's not likely we're going to use that chord, but it's one of those things that so each of the triads has three notes in it, obviously.
Right.
That means any given note in the scale is going to be in three different triads.
Right.
It's going to be the root of one, the third of one, and the fifth of another.
Right.
And if we want to expand that door or window, we could say, you know what, it could even be the seventh of a chord. And we might have to look at what chord would have it as the seventh if the three that had it as the root, the third, and the fifth don't seem like they're right.
Okay.
See, we might go outside of triads
I
or
got
expand. That's what I mean by kind of like expanding our horizon there.
it. Okay.
Okay, so yes, the F sharp diminished chord has A in it as the third.
Right.
And if F sharp has it as the third, we have to kind of do the same process of go back two more, and that'll make A the fifth.
Right. Now we're at D.
Now we're at D. Right. Okay. So for our purposes, it's either going to be A minor or D.
Right.
And A minor didn't sound bad because you could hear that it had the A in there.
Right.
But now just strum it and put D in there.
Okay. Well, to my ear, that doesn't sound right.
Okay. Yeah. But that's what it is. It does go to D there next.
It does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I think that's partly because you've been hearing the A minor all this time, and the A minor doesn't sound bad. Now,
Okay.
what did you do after the A minor then? So what did you come up with as the third chord?
Um, C.
Yeah, good. Letters I've, and then what? Good.
Then let's see, where'd I go from there? Oh, then I went to.
That
Okay.
works. Yeah. Okay. So now this is where we run into the curveball that or one of the ones that I kind of alluded to
Right.
is that um, I think the note we're looking for is A again. Um, Never meaning to. It's those are all A's. It's A. So we're looking for a chord that has A in it again,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and that's why A minor worked.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
it goes, and then it comes home to E minor like right after that, right?
Well, that's a well A minor word. Oh, on that line, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's kind of the end of that phrase, or like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
half a verse is what I would call it. In terms. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Then that whole thing repeats.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
we go to the "and I love you" part. Um,
Right. And what is
okay.
the note? What is the note on love?
It's
I love.
yeah, it's A again.
It's A again. Right. Okay. So, um, yeah. So we got a lot of A's in this song, right?
Right.
And the first A, well, like I said, the first A, it's a D chord that happens in there.
Right.
And now if we want to start looking outside the key, we found two other chords. We found A minor has A in it, obviously, but actually any A chord would have A in it,
Sure.
right? And then there's another chord. Okay, so that's what A major would sound like there.
Right.
Okay, um, and if we were looking for A as the third again, so that has it as the root. The D had it as the fifth,
Yep.
right? So the next question is, us other than F sharp diminished, what other chord might have A as the third?
Yeah.
F. So F major, which is not in this key,
Right.
has A in it too, right?
Right.
Now, since this does, and again, in the key of G or E minor, we don't have the note F. We have F sharps, right?
Right. Right.
And if we take away the F sharp and change it to F, we're kind of in a different key.
Yeah.
And what key is that? If we remove the F sharp from our key of G, we're in what key?
We remove the F sharp from the key of G. Um, okay, how do we think through this?
Well, what's the key signature now? Instead of one sharp, if we
Right.
change that sharp to F natural,
Then it's in the key of C.
right? Okay, so an F chord is in the nearby key of C because it's only one note different. It's the difference between F and F sharp that determines whether we're in C or G,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so that's that's a common thing to do, is use a chord from a key that's only like one note different, one sharp more or less,
Okay.
because those two keys are going to have four chords in common in the first place. They're going to have a lot of common chords, but they're going to have three different ones because of the one note that's different. It's going to be the root in one, the third in one, and the fifth in another. So if we made a list of all the chords in the key of C and the key of G, we'd have four that are the same. The four that don't have an F in them.
Right.
Okay? And so that's what I mean. It's not unusual to do something like that, is borrow a chord from a nearby key. That's what we call a nearby key. It's only one note different.
One different.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about this as if it's in the key of G.
Right?
It has the same notes, but we could say the same thing about an A minor being nearby, right?
Well, sure, because A minor is the same key as C.
Same as C. Right.
Right.
Same.
So that and see, both of those chords, both of those keys, C and A minor, include an F chord,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Right. Sure. 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 Sure.
So, yeah. So this is why when a couple weeks ago I first started talking about this song, I was
Yeah.
gonna say this is like a big stretch from like Teach Your Children.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now listen to that because so actually in here would have been a better hint. There is not an A minor chord in the whole song. It never goes to A minor.
Okay. Well, that. All right. Uh,
Every time the melody note is an A,
yeah.
it's either D, which is
Yeah.
in the key,
Yeah.
or it's F, which is not in the key,
Right.
or it's A major, which is not in the key either.
Wow.
So
Okay.
listen to this now.
All right.
Nights in white satin, never reaching the end. Letters I've written, never meaning to send. So that F makes this darker than normal minor. That F chord is like, whoa, it's
Okay.
weird, you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so yeah, so that's what happens. The first time you thought it was A minor, it's D, and the
Yeah.
second time you thought it's A minor, it's F.
Right. It's D. Okay. So that means that when we get all the way down to after we go through those two rounds.
Right?
Okay. So now when we got here, the "Cause I Love You" part.
Right. So that F takes you to E minor. So you still got to get to E minor first, right? Now you're at cause I, and now we need something else.
Right.
And
Um,
that sounds okay because there's our A again, right? The note we need here is an A. But that's not the chord they use.
okay. So
Again, yeah. You're coming
yeah.
from E minor, not from the F, right? We're done with the F.
Okay.
So
Well.
when you're singing "Cause I," that you're on E minor. Cause I love you.
Yeah. I thought it went here.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that seems logical.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It goes here. Cause I love you. So it's A major.
Oh, A major.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's A major. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so, okay, from there, I thought, right. So after that, then,
Okay.
I thought it went to,
Yeah. That's
okay,
it does. It does go to C. So C is the
okay, so
last
C.
chord. Yeah.
Okay, then I thought, then it got tricky. Then I thought it did this. I thought it went D sus4.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't, but that's totally logical. You know. What's hard to tell. Cause I love you. So it's hard for you to see my A because I play it again with my first finger in the middle, right?
Yep,
So that's the fingering, right? So
I got
that's
that.
that's why you're having trouble seeing that, I think. Cause I love you, but you can hear that it's a major chord. Then it's C. Yes, I love you. Now, oh how I love you. So that last "love you" is an F sharp, which is in a D chord, to an E.
Yeah,
Now, we're not going to have a chord that has a D, an E, and a D, and an E and an F sharp in it because they're right next to each other,
right,
right?
right.
And so what's happening here is the chord change goes with the second melody note, not the first one. So the chord that happens there has to have E in it, but that's why a D chord sounded okay because you're hearing that F sharp. That's what he's singing.
Yeah,
Okay? But it goes right away from F sharp down to E. Love you. Right. And so what's happening is the first note they're singing is not in the chord. So the chord is E minor right there. It comes home right there to E minor.
okay, okay. That I did think. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
home.
But it goes directly there from the C, even though he's singing F sharp.
Oh,
And it resolves like on the second beat.
okay,
Love you.
okay,
Right? And
okay.
now we have E minors and D's back and forth. So I don't know if you heard that, but now it's going, and they're kind of singing. So E minor and D is kind of the main little vamp that like continues while they're kind of playing while they're humming over that and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yeah,
do
yeah.
something else unusual because they're singing. "Ah, ah, ah." On the E minor, they sing from F sharp down to E. Da, da.
Yeah.
Then they keep singing the E when they change to a D chord. Da, da.
Oh
And
yeah,
it resolves.
yeah.
You hear that?
Funny was out of time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That type of effect, or it's a musical tool basically, called a suspension, where you're starting on a note not in the chord,
Right.
and it resolves usually down to a note in the chord, but it
Okay.
creates a lot of tension for the beat or two that it's being held. So like if I'm on E minor, I'm singing F sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it comes down to E. Then it goes to a D chord, and the E is still the melody note. And comes down to D then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, this is much more complex than I'd led you to believe, probably. But it's a beautiful tune.
Well, oh no, it is. Well, that part there, I couldn't figure that out. All I knew it resolved back to E minor,
Yeah.
but what I couldn't fit in was the I couldn't fit the melody in. Well, I could fit the melody in my attempt with the just because it sounded okay with the
Yeah,
D.
yeah. So
I could,
and in that case, that's the chord we call suspended four,
right,
right?
right.
But so just the idea of holding a note that's not in the chord and then resolving it down to one that is more generally called a suspension. It doesn't have to be the fourth.
Okay.
But that's the it's the but it's this anyway. The suspended four chord is like a specific example of that.
Okay. And it feels like if I was playing that, I could play sort of do the same thing. Uh,
Yeah, and then
right?
do the same thing on the D chord. Start with the E open,
Um,
and then bring it down to the D.
bring it
So you just included that open E in what you strummed there.
right.
Now don't let me hear the E again. Let me hear the D below it.
Oh,
That's the E still. Like, in other words, we don't want to hear the E anymore. We want to
oh,
hear the D that's lower than it. So don't strum everything. You got to just either pick out that D, the second string D.
oh.
Right. See, there's the resolution to the suspension.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
You hear it?
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so I don't know if they probably don't exactly do it like this in the song, but just listen to this. What I'm going to do is 6 beats of each chord,
Yep.
and the first 3 beats have the suspended note, and the second 3 have the resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see that sounds like the song.
Yeah.
Even though they don't ever exactly do it with that rhythm, but you
Yeah.
can hear that gives you the character.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
Pretty neat, huh?
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I guess there's some. It's, it's like clues leading you someplace, and then you're close, but you're not through the door. Kind of thing.
yeah,
That's what it
yeah.
felt like. doing that. Okay, well that's terrific.
Yeah, yeah, and there's one more thing I was going to say about this. Uh, this song is in a terrible key to sing. You're not going to be able to sing this, so we're not going to put it on your radar of trying to hit those notes, as
Yeah,
is generally the case with Moody Blues songs. You know, Justin Hayward has a great voice, and then they've always got these choir like backgrounds. You know, they've got John
right.
Lodge, who is the bass player, that
Yeah,
does these really high harmonies that make it sound like you've got, you know, a women's choir behind you sometimes. You know, and they did a lot of that stuff on keyboard sometimes too. It was a mellotron that sometimes did those parts. But that, you know, those early albums of theirs always just had these lush arrangements. You
yeah.
know, that were just
How,
beautiful.
did they do this stuff live?
Yeah, yeah. Now, like the first Nights in White Satin, they actually recorded with an orchestra. So that's everybody calls it their first album. There was an earlier band that had one or two members that were so there was like Denny Lane was the guy's name. There was a medium hit in the late '60s for the Moody Blues called "Go Now." I think you better go
Yeah.
now. Okay, well, only one member of that band used the name and recruited Justin Hayward and John Lodge and the other guys that became the Moody Blues we know.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so that first album was called Days of Future Past.
Right. Days of Future Raps. Yeah.
And so that's and they were one of the first bands to record with the London Symphony Orchestra. You know, I mean, they were just somehow they had the budget, or Decca Records, you know, decided that this was worth a try. And
Right.
so that album also included this one. Tuesday afternoon. I'm just beginning to see. Now I'm on my way. Same type of thing. It's using F's and B flats,
Yeah.
and then it throws in a D chord. It's like the A that we just saw
Yeah.
in this, you know. So their chord progressions are outside the small circle of you know, our country
Yeah.
songs.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Let's. If we have a couple of minutes left,
Yeah.
let's morph down to the. I believe it's the bridge of Country Roads.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. So we I think.
Hey, wait. One last thing. Since
Yeah.
I brought this up earlier, figure out the chords to Lucky Man this week.
Oh, okay.
Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It's much simpler. This is a kiss of death. It's not as complicated as Nights in White Satin.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So where we were in.
Yeah, Country Roads.
We got John Denver to 8
Right.
to the A chord, and so we were.
Yeah. Perfect. So that's how the verse goes.
Through that,
Yeah.
and then we get to the country. Take me home to the place. Whoop whoop. I've been-
Good.
Okay,
Yeah.
then we get to the bridge.
Okay.
I think that's all right.
That's perfect. Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
one other suggestion on this. Once you've got the chords figured out, work on playing it in like C. Transpose it to C or D. You have no chance of singing this in A.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
but if you want to sing it, you got to put it in a different key.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I could, yeah, I actually when I did this from C in the first place.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I went to C. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I can, okay, I can do that.
Okay. So what do you think happens in the bridge?
In the bridge. Okay, now this was okay. Okay, I think it starts out.
Yep.
She calls me.
Good.
Radio reminds me of my folly.
Yep.
Driving down No, that's not it. A day. Okay, that's where I got lost.
Okay, good.
That's where I
Um,
got lost.
yeah. So what happened here at the end? There's one other spot we got to get back to because the second half of this is not. It's not the same chord as it was the first half. In other words, the chord that follows the F sharp minor, the first
Yeah.
time is E.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I
It's
hear her voice. Right. Right. Okay. The second time, the melody's the same. Driving down the road. Okay. We'll come back to that in a second because it's not an E that time. Okay.
okay.
But what you had at the end was really close, and this kind of opens a new door here, like feeling that I should have been home. Oh, it eventually gets to E in what I would say is measure 13. This is a 16 measure thing. This is the beginning of the fourth line. The last four measures start with E. Yeah, yesterday, yesterday. Now you're looking for a note. You're looking for a chord for that note.
Right.
What note was that?
Yeah.
You're close. You're right in the ballpark. Yesterday.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so the note we're looking for a chord for is D,
D.
right? That's why a D chord worked. Yeah. Oh, you went to first, oh, you went to F sharp minor there first, and you heard, oh no, that's not it. You know, because there's no D in
Right.
an F sharp minor chord, right?
Right.
But then you tried D, and D does work. But when we're on an E chord, which is what chord number in our key?
D is 4.
No, we're on E before that, right?
Oh, E was. I'm sorry. E is 5.
Right. So we're on chord 5,
Right.
and it's feeling like we're building up to a big cadence, a spot where it's going to leave us hanging so we can go into country roads so that we can start the chorus again.
Right.
And that would typically be a place for chord 5 to hang on 5 to take me back to 1 that is going to start
Yeah.
the thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. 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 Yep.
And so the note that we sing there is D.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what happens if you just add a D to an E chord? What do you got?
That's that's an E. Oh, it's an E7.
That's what happens here. It just sings the note that is 7 of the E chord and stays on E, making that chord E7 now.
Okay.
You hear that? Hear how
Yeah.
that sets the stage to go home.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so that's what happens right there. Okay. So the melody in the first part of the bridge is A. I hear her voice. It goes from A down to G sharp, and that's why why an E chord works there. I hear her voice. The G sharp is in the E chord.
Right.
The second time around, the melody's not the same. I thought it was, and now I just realized it's not. Driving down the road. It's not I hear her voice, which is A to G sharp. It's driving down the road. It's C sharp to B.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Which is why an E chord works there, because B's in an E chord too.
Right.
Right?
Okay. Yep. 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 Yep.
And this is where where he pulls the same type of thing that happened in Knights in White Satin. It's a chord that has a B in it that is not in the key of A.
Okay. It's
So
not
what?
in the key of A.
Yeah.
It has a B in it.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of chords.
Okay. There's
B, there's
one.
B.
Okay. Yeah, there'd be, and actually any kind of B chord would work. Well, I mean, would have a B in it.
Right.
None of them are going to work.
Right. Okay.
We're looking for a more normal chord that has a B in it.
More normal chord that has a B in it. G. G.
Okay, try that. Strum the F sharp minor and sing that line. Driving down the.
No, no, I don't think so.
Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday. You'd have to listen to it in the song to buy it, but that's what he does. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And down the road, and
Oh,
then you hear it now.
yeah. Now I do. Right.
Okay, and so G is not in the key of A,
Right.
but it's used with an A chord all the time. In what key?
D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that means D is probably the next chord.
Oh. Okay.
So try
Okay.
that again from the F sharp minor,
Okay.
and then back to one, back, and now to our long set of fives. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what happens. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Not yet. Yesterday. Right. So the seven, you got two measures of five and two measures of it as a seventh chord.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this,
So,
when you're doing, I'm sorry, just a little quick one.
sure.
When you're doing the notation and you're bringing in seventh chords, suspended chords, that kind of stuff. If you're doing this in just 1 4 5
Yeah.
notation, what do you do?
Okay. So the first thing is you use Roman numerals for the chord numbers,
Right?
not Arabic numbers, right? So you use Roman numerals, and I always use capital Roman numerals for majors and small Roman numerals for minors. So like if
Okay.
you write, it'd be a VI, small VI would be
Yep.
6.
Yep.
Okay. So 5 would just be a capital V, meaning with bars across it, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then you just use a superscript 7, just like you would if you were writing E7.
Okay. Okay.
And so, but you write at that, not in Roman, right? So you just write
Okay.
5 7, and
Okay.
even you could do the same thing, 1 sus 4 or something. So you still write the same suffix for the number that you would for the chord, but you don't bother with major or minor because the size of the Roman numeral takes care of that for you.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so what we call this G chord in here, though, is we're in the key of A. We have a couple choices. I'm gonna have to, yeah. We have a couple choices, but if we just want to number it in the A scheme,
Yeah.
we can't just use the number 7 because the number 7 means G sharp.
Right.
And G sharp would be a small Roman numeral, two dotted I's and a circle to tell us diminished.
Right.
Right? So that's how you'd write 7. But in this case, this note is flat 7
Right.
and a major chord.
Okay.
So you write flat, large 7. And that tells me it's a G chord, large Roman 7.
Okay.
So that's how we would number the G chord in algebra.
Just the Roman capital 7.
Right, but with a flat sign in front of it.
Okay. Oh,
That's
just
telling us the note is not G sharp, that it's G natural.
got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
So
Okay.
that's a flat 7 major chord.
Okay. Okay. So I have to redo this. Okay. I'll do this
Yeah.
like that. Okay.
So in the key, if you're going to sing this in C, what chord
Yeah.
is that going to be?
It's going to be, let's see, instead of B sharp diminished, um,
Not quite, not B sharp diminished.
oh, just B diminished. B
Instead of
diminished.
that,
Huh?
instead of
Instead of
that,
it's going to be no, just going to be B.
that's not a flat 7 yet. In other words, B is the real 7th note,
Oh, B flat.
B flat, so it'd be B flat major that you're going to play there.
E flat major.
in the key
Yeah,
of
yeah,
C.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
All right, you got it?
I got it.
Okay. I got to run. I'll plan on next week.
Me too. Thanks, Neil.
All right, see you, and I'll send you this link in a few.